Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're peeling back the layers on something you might think is simple, a dirt path in the woods. But we're going to talk about the secret engineering, the art, really, that goes into creating that perfect mountain bike trail. I want you to think about your absolute favorite trail for a second. You know the one with that perfect flow, where every turn just feels right. You get that little boost from every roller, and you end the ride with this huge, stupid grin on your face. It's easy to think, wow, nature is amazing, right? But what if I told you that feeling was totally engineered? That almost every single rock, every route, every curve was put there on purpose.
So, yeah, let's get into it. That perfect ride, turns out it's almost never an accident. It's the result of a really deliberate, super sophisticated design process. Quality, as the saying goes, is designed.
Okay, so here's the big idea. Trail builders aren't just, clearing a path through the trees. They are laser focused on the outcome. They're trying to create a very specific emotional and psychological journey for you, the rider. The question they're constantly asking is, how do we want someone to feel right here on this exact section of trail?
So how do they even do that? Well, to get it, we've got to look at the emotional blueprint. See, trail designers and the folks who manage the land, they have this shared language, a kind of shorthand for the experiences they're trying to create. And it really just boils down to a few key goals. First on the list, play. Simple as that. This has nothing to do with getting from point A to point B. It is all about pure, unadulterated, childlike fun. We're talking about using features like little rollers or perfectly sculpted berms to change the experience, to make you feel like you're literally surfing on dirt, not just grinding out miles in the woods. Next up, we have challenge. And this one's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's all about testing your skills, pushing your limits. It's that incredible feeling of accomplishment when you finally clear that technical rock garden or that gnarly root section without dabbing a foot. It's all about getting better, about leveling up your skills. And then there's escape. Oh man, this is a big one for so many of us. It's that feeling of just getting away from it all, away from the daily grind. You're so immersed in the ride and the woods around you that everything else just melts away. For these kinds of trails, the design is all about maximizing that feeling of remoteness, of really connecting with nature. And last but not least, we have risk. Now, this is about the intentional interaction with uncertainty. Think about it. It's that perception of danger, like riding along a super exposed ridgeline, that creates this incredible thrill. It sharpens your focus like nothing else. It's a very, very carefully managed dose of pure adrenaline. All right, so we've got these concepts, these feelings, play, challenge, escape, risk. But how in the world do you actually build a feeling out of dirt and rocks and wood? Well, this is where the real engineering, the real magic begins. And check this out. This is so cool. Take just one of those goals, like challenge. It can look completely different depending on where the trail is. If you're deep in the backcountry, the challenge might be a totally natural, raw slab of rock. But if you're closer to a city, you might get that same level of challenge from a super sculpted, purpose-built rock garden. It's the same goal, right? But a totally different way of getting there. And of course, to make sure you find the right level of challenge for you, there's a whole standardized rating system. It's a lot like what you'd see on a ski hill with green circles, blue squares, black diamonds. This system, which was developed by the International Mountain Bicycling Association, you'll hear them called IMBA, it looks at really objective things like how wide the trail is, how steep the grade is, and how big the obstacles are. And that's how they rate a trail's technical difficulty from a cruisy green circle all the way up to a super high consequence double black diamond. But here's the thing, a great trail can't just be fun. That's not enough. For it to last for generations, for it to serve the whole community, it absolutely has to be sustainable. And sustainability, well, that's a way bigger deal than just, making sure the trail doesn't wash away. So you can think of true trail sustainability like a three-legged stool. The first leg is environmental. Pretty straightforward. Is the trail going to harm the ecosystem? Is it going to turn into a river when it rains? The second leg is social. Does the trail actually meet the expectations of the people using it? And super important, is it safe? And that third leg is economic. Can the land manager or the local community actually afford the long-term cost of keeping this trail in good shape? You take away any one of those legs, and the whole stool just tips right over. And that social leg, man, that gets into some really serious real-world stuff. Building a trail isn't just about playing in the dirt. It's about managing liability. I mean, designers literally have to think about how a plaintiff's attorney would argue about a certain feature in a court of law.
That gap jump was built negligently. See? This is why risk is managed so carefully, and it's why having professional, experienced trail builders is absolutely crucial. Which, brings us to a really important final point here. This whole thing, this incredibly complex balancing act between what riders want, what the environment needs, and what's actually safe and affordable, this is not a one-person job, not even close. It is a massive, massive collaborative effort.
It really does take a village, a whole community of trail architects. You've got government land managers like the Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, who are in charge of huge swaths of public land. Then you've got nonprofit advocacy groups like IMBA, who are out there setting the standards and fighting for trail access. You have the professional trail building companies, the ones with the mini excavators and the specialized know-how. And then, and this is so critical, you have the thousands upon thousands of local volunteers. They are the absolute heart and soul of this whole thing.
And the passion of those volunteers, it's just mind-blowing. Get this. IMBA alone, just one organization, counts over 700,000 hours of volunteer trail work every single year. That is just an unbelievable amount of love and sweat being poured right into the dirt we ride on.
So next time you're out there and you drop into a trail that just feels perfect, I want you to take a second. Look closer. Really notice the subtle banking of that turn, the way that rock is placed just so, the perfect rhythm of those rollers. You're not just riding on some random dirt path. You are experiencing a story, one that was carefully written in the landscape by a whole community of people, basically for you. So the question to leave you with is, what story will you read on your next ride?